this channel has mostly focused on budget builds in the past. $500, $200, even the fabled $100 gaming PC. But you know, sometimes you just want to go fast at any cost. And I have some components here that are pretty fast. So let's assemble the strongest PC this channel has ever seen, but we're gonna nix the RGB and keep it entirely black and sleek, then go through some benchmarks to see just how bricked up this PC can make us. Now this build isn't necessarily on a budget, as it were, but I still wanna try to save some money where I can. So while it still will be crazy powerful where it counts, there might be a few components being carried over from other builds, like this SSD. For a PC this powerful, there is no way I'm putting in just a ½ terabyte of storage. And while this rig can support up to PCIe Gen 5 SSD speeds, I just really think it's a bit overkill for a gaming rig. And it's still insanely expensive. So we're just using this 2 terabyte NVMe M.2 drive from Solidigm. The P41 Plus is a great PCIe 4.0 drive built on QLC. And while it may not be the fastest one out there amongst competing Gen 4 drives, it still has some really great drive speeds and reliability I've come to really trust. 2 terabytes is kind of where you want to start when you're building a PC at this budget, so you can store as many AAA games as you want, as well as your massive homework folder. I need a really high wattage and reliable power supply to power this beast, and while I could easily go with a reliable PSU from a known brand, I wanted to try something new. This is a 1000 watt power supply from a brand called Sama, which isn't as well known here in the States, but I bet most people who are over in Asia know about this brand. It's a well-known brand for making good quality components at competitive pricing. And while this PSU isn't on the official PSU tier list or whatever, I read a few reviews that were in Chinese that led me to believe this thing is surprisingly good for the price, and is pretty efficient to boot. I mean, it's platinum rated after all. It's fully modular, has a 10-year warranty, and support for PCIe 5.0 with a native 12-volt high-power cable that goes directly to it. So you don't have to use any of those adapters for a much cleaner look. Now, just so y'all know, this is a platinum rated power supply, but in some of Sama's advertising, you'll see it being listed as white gold. This is incredibly confusing since white and gold are both well-used power supply ratings, but in this instance, it's simply a mistranslation of the word platinum. In Mandarin, platinum is translated as baijin, which when translated separately, literally is white and gold. But when said together, it stands for the word platinum. Hopefully, Sama clears this up on all of their marketing, as it's just too confusing for all of us Guilao here in the States. Now the case for this rig was actually provided by the sponsor of this video, Okanos. This is the Cypress 7, an ATX-sized PC case that features a gorgeous walnut wood fusion at the front of the case. The wood front is surrounded by a premium black metal exterior that is boasting some fantastic features from a high-end case. The front I/O features 2 USB 3.0 ports as well as a Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 interface, allowing transfer speeds of up to 10 gigs per second. The back of the case has plenty of room for cable management and has a huge amount of room for any custom water cooling solutions, including 360mm radiators at the top or the front of the machine. It also comes pre-equipped with 4 sleek PWM fans to help provide a ton of airflow to all of our vital components. And I'm glad it's a big boy since it can fit GPUs up to 415mm in length, which is like 99% of cards out there. The best part of all, despite being a feature-rich case, the price comes in well under what other companies are charging for similar chassis. So we get to save some money, but we don't have to skimp on the quality. Oh, and by the way, I'll have links to everything in this build down in the video description if you want to pick up anything yourself. And thanks again to Okanos for sponsoring this video. Moving on to the CPU. The one in this rig is going to be the modern GOAT that came out just a few months ago. This is the AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D. Now this might not be the most powerful CPU out there, considering there are some Ryzen 9s that are ever so slightly more powerful, but for gaming specifically, you are getting a hell of a lot of horsepower. This bad boy is built on the Zen 5 architecture, has 8 cores with 16 threads, and has a max boost clock of up to 5.2 GHz. The X3D in this chip refers to AMD's use of 3D stacked cache technology. This adds a massive amount of L3 cache, up to 96 megs in this case, which can significantly improve gaming performance. Larger cache sizes reduce memory latency, which is critical for games and other applications sensitive to fast memory access. The additional cache really benefits game engines that rely heavily on accessing data quickly, leading to smoother frame rates and better overall performance. especially in games that are CPU limited. And in the past, for other X3D chips, the moniker was usually get X3D for gaming and Intel for everything else, including video editing, Photoshop, that kind of stuff. But the 9800 X3D actually outperforms the competitors in most non-gaming applications too, so it not only is the best for gaming, it's actually a really well-rounded CPU for people who want to do anything and everything with their computer. All of this power comes at a price though, both literally and figuratively, as the 9800 X3D sells for almost $500. But even with that price, it has been basically sold out since it came out in November, almost 3 months later at this point, and a lot of people still can't get their hands on one. It's without a doubt one of the best CPUs you can get right now. But we need a motherboard that can harness all of that power. And with a chip this expensive, the motherboard better be amazing and allow all the modern features like BIOS flashback, multiple M.2 slots, super fast Wi-Fi, a ton of I/O, and obviously PCIe 5.0 support. Now we can go with those fancy new X870 boards, but outside of a few minor updates that won't affect our performance much, I personally would rather save the cash and go with a solid X670 board. Plus I was already using this one, so there's that. It's the Gigabyte X670 Aorus Elite AX, and it is absolutely fantastic. Look at all these ports on the back. That's 12 USB-A ports, as well as a 20 gig USB-C port. We get a 2.5 gig Ethernet port and access to Wi-Fi 6E, but let's be honest, if you're buying a board like this, you should be plugging in the Ethernet. It's got room for up to 4 NVMe M.2 SSDs, really insane thermal heatsinks everywhere, and this comes with X3D Turbo mode, which has been seen to have some good results when it comes to power usage and temperatures. But the actual real-life performance in FPS is kind of a mixed bag, so we're gonna leave it off for our testing today. The processor we are using is absolutely beefy, so we need a solid workhorse cooler to keep everything from possibly thermal throttling. I weighed the pros and cons of using an air cooler over a water cooling, and personally, I just like the convenience of using an air cooler. So I'm using the Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 Black. This thing is an absolute beast when it comes to cooling. We've got 6 heat pipes on this dual heatsink design, allowing us to fit 2 or even 3, really, fans onto it for maximum surface area and maximum cooling. This cooler has been a fan favorite for a few years now, and for good reason. It works really well, has a sleek black design, and doesn't cost an arm and a leg like most other premium coolers. And I'm going to be swapping out the included Thermalright fans for 2 Arctic P12 Maxes because I just really like them. This has actually been my personal CPU cooler for about a year, as you can tell by the dust on the heatsink. So I'm happy to bring this over to this beast of a PC. Moving on to the RAM, we really need something that is a little more stable. DDR5 has some really insane speeds available these days, but not all motherboards are going to run these all too well. And I'd rather just have a great stable clock speed with XMP on and just leave it at that. So we're going with these 2 sticks from G.Skill. This is 64 gigabytes of G.Skill Flare X5 RAM, clocked at 6,000 megatransfers per second with a CAS latency of 36. They aren't the fastest or have the tightest timing, but they are from a reliable company and they were surprisingly more affordable than other options. 64 gigabytes is way overkill for any gaming experiences these days, but it will be nice to have the headroom for any kind of memory-heavy tasks like video editing or keeping all those Chrome tabs open while you're looking for the perfect video to eat your bowl of cereal to. Now, this RAM may not have the RGB capabilities, but the Cypress 7 case we're using is more of a black stealthy look anyway, so this will actually be perfect for this build just to keep that e-boy aesthetic going. All right, the part we've all been waiting for, the graphics card. This is the NVIDIA RTX 5090, the strongest gaming graphics card in the entire world right now. This Blackwell GPU has 32 gigabytes of super fast GDDR7 VRAM, which is beyond overkill for gaming. And starting with the 50 series GPUs, we get access to DLSS 4 with multi-frame generation, utilizing NVIDIA's best software to basically double our frame rate in just about any game. And we get access to the best ray tracing performance of any card available. Now, I know this card is out of reach for most people on the planet, including me, but when you somehow get through the Best Buy queue on launch day, you just gotta go for it. This card is not only the best for gaming, it will also kill it in video editing, if you want to self-host AI applications like DeepSeek, and also has some insane speeds when it comes to 3D modeling and animation in applications like Blender. But I truly can't wait to see what this card can do in gaming using every different setting available to us. A lot of the budget builds on this channel are, usually 1080p only, and you can't really mess around with the settings too much. So it's going to be absolutely amazing to see how far gaming graphics cards have really come. To put it simply, I feel like a kid in a candy shop. This isn't a review of this card or even an opinion on whether you should buy one or not. Plenty of people have done a way better job of that than I ever could. But at the very least, we can throw this bad boy in a machine and show you what the real life performance looks like. Of course, limited to this video platform's display setting of 4K resolution and 60 FPS, as well as YouTube's crappy compression, making the footage look not nearly as good as it would live in person, but I'll do my best. Time to assemble this beast, do some quick glamour shots of the finished rig, and then onto the benchmarks. This PC is absolutely amazing. It really is the pinnacle of what gaming could look like in 2025, and it makes me excited for the future. The fact that games can run like this now in 2025 is crazy. 10 years ago, Metal Gear Solid 5 came out for PC, and while the game does still look really great today, I think we have come a long way. Especially if we go back to 2005. Call of Duty 2 released on PC, and I remember thinking this game was basically real life and we would never surpass it. How wrong I was. And if you want to pick up anything I mentioned in this video, I'll drop a link in the video description. But just remember, the graphics card is unobtainium at this point, so temper your expectations. If you love this PC but are more interested in what a PC that costs only $500 can do, you can check out this video here. Please like the video if you liked it, and get subscribed for more technology content. My name is Jason. Thanks for watching. Wait, how much does this PC cost? Holy sh**.